Once I came home and saw what had us screamed.
All the furniture is gone, and the bed, which was very expensive.
I'm a good judge of character.
I felt my blood boil when I saw my mother-in-law, Lisa, smile as she sat in her wheelchair.
Did you perhaps forget to close the door behind you when you left?
Yeah, I have to have it removed because I wanted to use them in my house. I hate the fact that you, a part of it, are a parasite living off of my hard-earned money and living in such a nice luxury apartment. My son is the only reason that you two live here, so don't you dare disobey me as I mother. I will make him divorce you if you keep annoying me. Always remember.
Hearing this, I said this to Lisa, mocking me while trembling.
What have you done?
What?
This is not my house. All the furniture is not mine either.
My name is Jane. Mark and I had been dating since we met at the tennis club, where we both were students. He had always been that kind of person who loved to live large among the class compared to those around him, and he gave me gifts in which I told him that they were too expensive for me. On ordinary days, which were not even birthdays,
I just wanted to see your happy face, so that's why I bought it for you.
seeing him smile and say something made me like him even more. We graduated from college and got married. We were the first among our friends' wedding, and it was celebrated with our friends, and I was having the time of my life. Mark and I had both been working for company, but he had asked me if my job when we got married.
As your husband, I want to work, and you, Jane. And when I come home, I want you to me back home.
Thinking about today's world, I thought the idea might be outdated, but I do not being a full-time housewife. So I decided to quit my job. I enjoyed waiting for Mark's return, doing household chores, such as doing laundry every day. But no matter how seriously I took cleaning, given the size of the apartment, I still had a lot of free time on my hands. The two of us now live in a normal-sized rental apartment. Mark, who likes to live large, was happy about it, but I asked him to opinion that if he was the only one going to work, I didn't want us to spend too much. We chose the apartment which we live. For Mark, who has always worn nice watches, this apartment might be too small for him. But I really liked it because it was first apartment together, even though small. One day, Mark came home from work and we were having dinner together when he suddenly showed me an ad for an apartment. It showed a room in a luxury apartment in a well-known neighborhood. And the rent was almost 10 times what it was now. Looking at the photos, it certainly looks worth it, but paying that much in rent would leave me with no money for dinners, like I was able to afford before.
I think that this is a very nice room. It must be depressing to live in such an apartment as we are right now. Let's move out.
I do understand your feelings, but it's too high. I like our apartment where we live currently very much.
This room may be just the right size storage, but it's certainly not the people to live in. Don't worry about money, okay? Just leave it to me.
However small it may be, I think it much bigger than a storage room. Mark's sense of money and usage of a little out of line with mine. I have felt this since I was dating. It's not something I found out just. Mark had bowed his head and said that he really wanted to move out. So I had no choice but to nod.
All right. If you insist on it so much, then move. Thanks for adjusting to live in this apartment for me until now. But I also want to help you with more. Can I start working part-time? Work shifts so that I can make the time you get home. Mark and B, I'm bored just staying at home. Okay.
No matter how well off he is with the company Mark is, working for Doom, think he'd be able to even coy the rentee. I'm sure he has another source of income, but I'm still worried. Then Mark, who had let me work part-time, called the real estate agent and signed the contract in front of us while we were still eating. So we finished our contract with the apartment we were living in and moved to a new one at the end of August. We moved everything we had in the Pier apartment so far, but we still had rooms available. At first, I was intimidated by the high rental price, but my eyes lit up at the thought of the room's comfort and convenience, and I was excited about my future life. A little later, my mother-in-law, who lived far away, came over for a visit. I didn't really like Lisa very much. Right after our engagement, Lisa had been cold towards me. I wonder she's like that because her was taken away from her. On the day she came over for a visit, who had always been stingy with me on trivial things, was still looking at me as if I were her enemy.
You've just moved into a new apartment. The place looks great, but it's pretty messy around here. I know you've only lived in a small place before, but I feel sorry for your having to live in such a messy room. You are his wife, but you can't ever around the room properly?
Just like those mothers-in-law who trace their fingers on the wind to check for dust. And sneak into the kitchen to look at the inside of the fridge.
Oh, by the way, did you start a part-time job? My son told me. I heard that you're working many hours for only a few $100s. It seems like you're wasting a lot. What are you even thinking? I can't really understand you. Why don't you go to a beauty salon? Be beautiful for your husband. You are so strange, aren't you?
Oh, so this is where Mark's financial inheritance came from. It was from his grandfather. If I had money, I would have already gone to a beauty salon and also bought a lot of cute clothes. But I can't rely on Mark's salary. And I want to spend my own money or luxuries. I could only smile fondly at Lisa's, since she and I couldn't really understand each other. When I talked to Mark about it, he just laughed and played along, but he wasn't really on my side. Little by little, my frustration kept building up in my heart. Then Lisa came to visit me at the apartment many times and repeatedly bullied me on boasting about how financially she was compared to us. At first, it was funny to see how silly I looked after moving into a better apartment when she didn't come over to visit my previous apartment at all. But I couldn't stand her anymore since she so frequently. When I told Lisa that she had been here too often recently, she screamed.
I'm Mark's mother, and this is Mark's apartment. Then there is nothing strange about here, is there? It's rather strange for a poor person like you to be here. I passed by your neighbor a while, as she was a very nice and classy lady. Unlike you, of course. I was so embarrassed that someone was my son's wife, not a wife like...
Lisa's sermon continued until it finally ended when Mark returned home.
I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't even have any time to prepare dinner, so can you order something? I'm going outside to take a while.
Huh? No dinner? What have you been doing this whole day today? Mom came here because she was worried about you, Jane, so you should take her.
There was a cheap and comfortable home, the neighborhood. Mark saw my exhausted face, but showed no signs of worry. And Lisa only uses me to relieve her own exasperation until the sun goes down. I had no place to rest my mind, and Mark, without paying any attention, started talking to Lisa about organic food. And with that, I ran out of the house. The next day, at around noon, I came home. When I looked at the front door, Mark and Lisa's shoes were gone. It seems like Lisa had gone home. I was prepared to hear Lisa's sarcastic comments again. So I was a little relieved, but I believe my eyes when I went straight bedroom. The bed that had been in the bedroom was gone. I thought that a thief had stolen it. Nothing else had been taken, and no other item of such value had been stolen before. I decided to call Lisa and ask her bed. Lisa seemed unconcerned and said she would take it home with her.
For someone like you, that bed was too luxurious for your taste, right? So that's why I got it. It was still clean, too. Anyway, you can look forward on using the Essex mattress that I'm going to give to on. It's a little torn, but I think it will fit you well.
Lisa was smiling at me on the other end of the phone, and I lost my patience. Who has been looking down forever and ever, I replied with a saying this.
Oh, I don't need it. Why don't you dispose of this garbage yourself? Besides, you took someone else's work without any permission, and you didn't even apologize.
What is the best way to get rid of a cold sore? You're being so arrogant and cocky. You've always had a habit of looking people like that, haven't you? That's why people hate you. Don't you often hear people telling you that you're miserable?
Say it as much as you want, but I'll have my bed back soon.
As I've been saying, your things belong to Mark. As long as Mark doesn't say no, I can use them whenever I want to.
That bed is not ours, Lisa.
At my words, Lisa was silent for
What do you mean?
I decided to tell her the whole truth, but it sounded very confusing.
I am divorcing Mark.
I guess you finally know your place.
So all my furniture has been moved place and is not in this apartment. That bed is from a company that rents out.
It's rented. You rented a luxurious bed for such a temporary thing? Squeezing Mark's heart out of him until the very end.
No, it was Mark who chose that bed. He is a man who really liked to look others.
I'll tell her all the truths about before I say my goodbye. I decided to tell Lisa about Mark's she didn't even know about. Mark had money since he was a college student, but that was easy. Money that he had collected by borrowing money from his classmates and friends. He wasn't rich at all, but just a fool who spent money without thinking. It's true that his parents were rich, but that did matter once he graduated and started to earn his own money. Mark's current salary that he gets is probably less than half of what rent now. He still borrowed money from his friends, but he secretly went to casinos to gamble away his money. Even so, his spending spree continued to grow as he attracted attention with more lavish weddings than anyone else and moved into a more luxurious apartment with his desire to only look good in front of others. He even went to the trouble of ordering a luxury bed from a furniture company.
In the end, Mark was just a pathetic man who wanted to be rich. The reason he made me quit my job as a housewife was also for the sake of being away from other people. Yesterday, you told me, Lisa, remember, that the neighbor's wife was a wonderful person. Well, that's what Mark said to me as well. He said, you should be like her too. And he also said, if you ain't living it, it wouldn't look good on you.
He said this with a kind smile, just like when he used to give me presents. So that day, I showed the divorce pa Mark. I was really at the end of my patience.
You have done a lot for me, Lisa. Please be prepared for that bed. It's expensive. I will contact the management to ensure that they contact you soon. Okay?
What? Wait! Isn't it your fault for not explaining? Come and get it at my place, right after. This is an order. You should at least listen to your own husband's mother.
I am divorcing Mark, so you are no husband's mother, Lisa, and you are but a stranger to me.
I told Lisa once and for all, and let small breath.
Also, if you still want to visit this apartment, you'd better do it soon. I have reported Mark's large debt to the estate company, so it may be seized by the company soon. If he does get evicted, I hope he can at least rent a room with a bathroom.
At my words, Lisa dropped her cell without a word. Without waiting for an answer, I hit the phone to block her calls.
Good. I guess that's the last of the clear the divorce.
I left Mark's apartment that day. Later, I heard that Mark was kicked that room. I heard that until the very end, he fussed that he was, well, paid and Ducey finished paying off his debts, but he was evicted immediately. The company kindly introduced another apartment for a very low price for him, but it was only half the size of the first apartment that we lived in. The friends he used to borrow money kept their distance away from him. Only thing weighing on him is the B repayment to his friends. As for the bed, there seemed to be scratches and torn pieces of fabric. Took it out without permission, so to buy the bed in the end. I think the total cost was less than $100, but it wasn't a price that came easily. And even Lisa, who was very fond of Mark, had grown apart from him since their breakup. Mark apparently told Lisa that he owed a very prestigious company and Mark was sending his parents several $1,000s every month, all of which he had gathered through gambling or borrowed money. When Lisa found out about this, she apparently realized the unusual nature of Mark's personality about showing off his bad habit about the usage of money. Now, I think I can have a little fur conversation with Lisa, but I never hear that voice again. Mark will probably lead a lonely lit small room by himself, abandoned by parents and his friends. I was alone in the small room I had into and stroked the small cactus I placed by the window. I have no money now because I'm only part-time employed, but I will start working to save up some money. I didn't have to look good, and I was able to live a full life with myself. I was relieved to know that I had my freedom and that I could live within my room, even if it wasn't a luxurious apartment. I'm still glad that I took action, though a lot had happened in just a few days.
I think I'll get some delivery today. It's a bit of a luxury, but oh well.
Such a small luxury is what true hap all about. With this in mind, I was excited to receive my first delivery.